Dun dun dun! Mecha King Ghidora Shinjuku Decisive Battle Special Set. Special set? Battle set? I guess it works. But yeah, this is the Godzilla vs. King Ghidora, Mecha King Ghidora. It's actually kind of a re-release or upgraded version, I guess. So I haven't actually had a good look at the original. So if you have the original, please do drop a comment below about any differences that you do spot in this figure compared to the original one. Now I believe the main difference is it comes with all these really cool accessories that are attached out to Godzilla. They have teased the Godzilla, but they haven't given any release details yet, so hopefully soon. The only kind of disappointing part, it would have been cool to get those little dough rats. I think that came with the original one, or was it with the normal King Ghidorah? Oh, I don't remember off the top of my head. Drop a comment below if you do remember. If not, I'll check out after this video. But yeah, anyway, this is just coming out in Japan. It was a premium bundle release. So if you are importing, you should get it soon. Now on the back here we do have a nice section of images showcasing the figure. He comes with the normal wings and battle damaged ones, which is really cool. And he's got the grapple there, which shoots out from his chest to grab onto Godzilla. Overall, really cool. So let's just pop him out and get a closer look at that finish. Oh, that's right. On the top here we do have the instructions though. So if you're wondering how everything attaches, we have the stand and everything just clips on, and there are there's a long and a short version for the grapple there. I think the long one goes on the bottom, short one on the top, and then for the wings they just pop out from his back. Pretty straightforward. I had no issues setting up early when I did a couple of photos. Okay, that was pretty much. We've got another box here. He comes in two split packages here. One for the main body, and then one for the battle damaged wings and the his tail tips and that grapple that shoots out. So let's set him up first. That way we can actually get a proper look at him. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so we've got them out of the packaging here. Now we'll take the tail tips. These have a little wee ball joint on them, and then we can just slot these into the tails here. So just slot them in, and they attach like so. The texture on the tail here is really nice, and it has a lovely gold colour which is sticking out beautifully so far. It really does kind of remind me of the recent 2019 special colour version that they did release. Okay, so we've got them spinning on the turntable here to check out that finish, and as I was mentioning just before, the gold colour I think is lovely, even though I believe it is just one single colour everywhere. Due to the sculpting and the detailing for those scales throughout his whole body, it creates a lot of nice contrast and shadows, which really brings forth a lot of depth and detail from this figure. If it was just smooth and gold, it'd be a bit plain, but due to that detailing we do get a lot of lovely shades of gold coming through. Especially with the underside of his wings here, we do have a nice kind of gold colour as well, which matches beautifully with their metallic silver colour. Now that same silver colouring is throughout his whole body. He's got the leg armour, and then same with the chest and the head there too. Now for the head itself, we've got the nice subtle red colouring down the side and those green eyes. Now on the tail tip here, if we can see if it's on camera yet, there we go. We've got a nice red centre, and this bottom part here is actually metal. So there are die cast parts on this, though there's a lot of plastic, like the wings are plastic, but the tips here are die cast, and the back here is plastic, same with most of the neck. So it isn't as heavily die cast as some other releases, but where it is there, it does kind of add a little bit more extra weight, and it does feel nice when you are touching it. We've got the flaps here which are metal and so forth. Now the actual die cast parts and the plastic sections do blend in well together, so it is actually really hard to tell which is which just from looking, but obviously when you do touch it you feel the temperature difference, you'll definitely notice straight away. The painting of the teeth is really clean and crisp as we can see here, and again we've got the nice colouring and the subtle black pupil on the eye there for Ghidorah. Yeah, so overall the detailing for the base version here is nice, and actually one thing I didn't point out, we do have some shading on the wings here, very subtle, but definitely brings forth a little bit more detail and depth to the wings when it is reflecting the light, which is really nice as we can see as it spins around here. So jumping into articulation now, the wings itself has a peg in there which might be a little bit hard to see, but you can swivel those wings up and down, and then there's a main joint so we can go back and forth as well. So that is really cool. It has a very big range of motion there, a lot bigger than I expected. Now these wings themselves, these pop off easily, they just slot out like so. So what I'll do, I'll pop both of them off for now. We'll check out the rest of articulation, then we can put those battle damaged wings on. So continuing with the head articulation, each one of the dragon heads is actually really nice. We've got about 5 points of articulation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, give or take. So these will all move individually. The joints themselves feel really nice, and one thing that is cool, it is attached down here with, it kind of feels like a slight rubbery tubing, which is actually quite a nice touch. So depending on the angle you have them at, they will move as well. Though that will be, I think, one of the limiting factors for some articulation on the bottom there, since it will kind of, it will limit how far you can extend it out. Now for the jaws on these, each one will open up. I mean, a somewhat decent range there, a little bit more, could be quite nice, but now I guess we're getting a bit unrealistic. This guy here can open up pretty wide actually. The tongues themselves, the tongues don't move, so that would have been quite cool if we could have lifted those tongues up and posed them. I think, which figure was it? I think one of the Godzilla ones could do that recently, or maybe it was Kong even, I can't remember, but I think that's a really cool gimmick that some of these figures have had recently. Now moving down to the chest here, this is one big chunky area, but we do have the flaps here which will open up, and this will reveal the peg where you can attach those grapples. The chest section here will slot out too, so we can remove that for now, and this will reveal the peg slots as well. Now underneath here we do have a mid-section swivel on there, so that is quite nice, and we have a very subtle tilting action going on too. So while the main upper part here we won't get any articulation, on the lower region we do get some motion, which is quite nice. Same for the leg here, this will move up and down a little bit, again gets a little bit hindered by the design since it isn't a perfect circle. Now the knee itself, I mean, pretty straightforward and basic range. I mean, a lot of these figures I don't expect a great deal of motion, especially when we have a lot of chunky armor on them. The ankle itself is pretty straightforward. We've got a bit of a tilt and swivel going on, everything will move pretty well. And when you do combine all those joints together, you get a decent range of motion. Okay, so moving down to one of my favourite parts on the figures, and that is always the tail. This one is not bad. The upper part here would have been quite nice to have an extra joint maybe so we can get a bit further out and around. But I mean, it feels nice, it holds its pose decently well. I think this is a part of a design thing, but for newer figures we do get better range of motion, and especially where they can hold their posing well. But we do get those joints that go all the way down to the tip, which is really nice. So we can, oh, I didn't put that in properly. There we go. These joints are a little bit tight there. But yeah, anyway, as I was saying, we do get that motion all the way to the tip, which is quite nice. So yeah, overall, the range is pretty... it's acceptable. I don't know, I kind of would like a little bit more in this area. But I guess when you're thinking about it, you just be standing there, using it as a rest. I mean, you can't expect too much motion, I guess. But if this could wrap all the way around, that would be really badass. Okay, so now over to the battle damaged wings, and as we can see straight away, we have a nice variety of colour here to highlight the burnt, yes, the impact from the Godzilla's attack, which is obviously charred and burnt and heated up that metal. So we've got the slightly more orangey, browny colours, with some more metallic look in there as well, which is really nice. The back of the wings is pretty much the same as the non-battled version, with the same subtle difference in colouring from the highlights and shadows there. Now the wings themselves, as we can see before, we have that joint there which will pivot up and down, and then in and out. So exactly the same as the main wings. So to attach these on, all we have to do is just line up and slot them in. So what I'll do, I'll put them off to the side, and then we can set up his extra parts for that grapple. So to hold the extra parts, we do have the stand here. We've got the main arm in the center here. This will attach to the big part here. So this here, the tips here are plastic, but these rods are actually metal. I was actually really surprised at. So it has a decent weight to it, and we have the pegs here which will attach to the chest of Ghidora. There is the peg hole on the bottom, so we can just line this up and attach it like so. So once you have it on the stand, you can just line up the peg holes with the ones on the chest for Ghidora, and it will just slot in like so. Overall, pretty nice and easy to attach, though obviously do be careful if you are trying to move them around to support both sides. I'll move it down a little bit further so we can see easier. Now we have the mini grapples which shoot out from his chest, and as I mentioned earlier, we do have two different lengths. So this is the short version, and then we have the longer version here. There isn't a great deal of difference between them, maybe about 1 to 2 centimeters. So do be careful when you attach them to double check which one is which. Okay, so after a little bit of fiddling around, adjusting the stand a little bit, I have them all attached, and it might be a bit hard to see, but each one of these arms will open and shut, which is really cool. I'm definitely looking forward to getting a matching Godzilla to pair with this figure. I mean, he's just a lot of fun, where you can pose the heads around, mix and match. I think one thing that would have been really cool is maybe some LED lights in the head there to make those green eyes glow, or even something on the chest. There's something a little bit more, I guess, sound and light gimmicky, like what we had with the Biollante special colour version. But overall, loving this figure so far. So let's just jump straight into the pros and cons. Definitely the pros is the finish. The battle damage wings are awesome. Look at these burn marks in there. That is great. I feel like the sculpting and the look and colour, I guess, separation for those teeth and mouth are really clean and crisp, especially compared to some of the older releases. The metal parts on the arm here is really cool. Kind of would have minded some more metal on the actual, I guess, the claws here, but maybe that would have damaged some figures if you're using them. The addition of a stand is obviously definitely necessary, so I'm glad that came with one. But yeah, overall I think it's just a really fun figure, looks really nice and really captures the essence of the Mecha Ghidorah. The articulation on the wings was really surprising. I didn't expect to get as much articulation out of them as we do, so that is definitely a big surprise for me. I'm not sure if the original had that as well, so definitely drop a comment below if it did or didn't. Now in terms of the cons, he wasn't the cheapest of figures. S.H. Monsterarts definitely have jumped up in price lately, but I mean, he is a big beast, and that is another con. You need a lot of space to actually display this figure, especially with the full setup here. However, compared to the 2019 Ghidora. He stands up beautifully, super easy to pose, you don't have to worry about wings falling down, definitely a lot more articulation compared to those figures. So if you're after a Ghidora figure, this is definitely the one that I would recommend going for. I'm hoping they kind of re-release the non-Mecha version as well at some point in the future, since I don't have the original. But yeah, if you want to check out more photos, you can jump on rockchannel.com. You can check them out there, some 360 photos as well, and I'll be posting some at the end of this video on Instagram as well. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see more S.H. Monsterarts videos, be sure to subscribe as well. There will definitely be the next release review coming soon. Yeah, but anyway, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, cheers!